If you wake at midnight and hear a horse's feet, don't go drawing back the blind or looking in the street. Them that ask no questions isn't told a lie. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. These words of warning are the opening lines of one of Rudyard Kipling's best-loved poems, and they inspired the title of this book, and my passion over 6 years. Goudhurst is a small village in southeast England. It's located just over 50 miles south of London in West Kent, in an area known as the Weald. The whole of England's southern coastline, with its remote bays and inlets, is situated near a busy trading route for both Britain and continental Europe. This and its proximity to London made the area very attractive to smugglers. Smuggling is the movement of goods in and out of a country with the intent of avoiding taxes or restrictions on quantity. From the 12th century, smuggling in the UK was mainly the export of wool to the continent. In the late 17th century, however, the government raised taxes on local spirits, banned French brandy, declared tea a luxury, and restricted imports of fine cloth to protect the wool trade. The smugglers quickly concluded there were huge amounts of money to be made. Over the years, the government passed laws and offered rewards to curtail smuggling both by sea and by land. In 1745, Parliament added smuggling to the list where the sentence was death. Capital offences included being assembled in a group of 3 or more with firearms, or any person blackening or disguising their face. Many magistrates and justices of the peace bent over backwards to avoid giving such harsh sentences, while The Gentlemen Go By describes one justice's solution. Though smugglers worked with a variety of gangs, the newspapers of the day liked to associate each gang with a place. Hawkhurst is a village just 6 miles from Goudhurst. It's situated on a main road from London to the coast. Its leader, Arthur Gray, lived nearby in a grand house with an impregnable warehouse in a place called Seacox, later to be called Seacox Heath. At the time of the Battle of Goudhurst, Gray was in prison, and the gang was being led by the Kingsmill brothers Thomas and George. Why that mattered, you can read in While the Gentlemen Go By. The smugglers were admired, and there was a huge amount of community support and help for them. Anyone who helped carry goods could earn 3 times as much in one run as an unskilled labourer could in a week. But with the government crackdown, the smugglers were constantly on the alert for informers and bounty hunters. So they used violence, rioting, coercion and bribery as a means of maintaining control. In Goudhurst, the Hawkhurst gang's oppression led to people abandoning their houses and leaving. While The Gentleman Goes By suggests there may have been other reasons for their retaliation. Sturt is our hero. His name appears in the baptismal records of Goudhurst Church for the 21st of August 1718. It's impossible to know when or why he signed up for Harrison's regiment of foot and when he was discharged, because regimental records have been lost. No one knows why he led the village to stand up against the Hawkhurst gang. One theory is he may have been forming his own rival smuggling gang, while The Gentleman Goes By suggests a more personal motivation. Inevitably, the Hawkhurst gang found out the militia and captured one of them. He may, of course, have been a spy, but they sent him back with a terrible ultimatum. Well, at 5 o'clock, they would come to Goudhurst, murder anyone in the village, and burn the place down. The militia had a lot to do, not the least of which was evacuating the women and children, putting up barricades and acquiring gunpowder and shot. All the defences had to be ready within fewer than 30 hours, and of course not everyone was on their side. And the key place for both militia and smuggler was this building. This is a Kent County Council survey of the historic buildings present today in Goudhurst. The age of the buildings will help you trace the places mentioned as possible battle sites over the years. The locations mentioned are the Vine Hotel near the Plain, the Star and Crown, the pub used by the smugglers, from inside Cloth Hall, the militia's headquarters. Of course, there was the church with its stout walls and its bell tower, and there are suggestions that the militia shot from the rooftops nearby. There are also suggestions that there were trenches dug in the cemetery. While I was researching While the Gentlemen Go By, I came across this document being offered on eBay by a private seller. It was described as a draft of a petition from the villagers to the Lords of the Treasury for a reward, though it may, of course, be the real thing and never have been sent. It talks about the house where we were assembled, and as a result I discovered a pamphlet that led me to yet another possible location where this fortress might have been. Well, the battle was fought and all available records report that the militiamen suffered no casualties. But the Hawkhurst gang was hit hard. George Kingsmill and Barnett Wallet are known to have died, and a number of smugglers were known to have been wounded in the battle. I've pieced together who they were. Of course, the smugglers were forced to abandon weapons as they retreated. They left a blunderbuss and a pair of pistols. You can see this one with its special marks in Maidstone Museum and find out what the marks are meant to be. In my book, I've tried to be as faithful as I can to the known and the credible facts. I think it's a ripping yard, and I hope you do too. 5 and 20 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parsons, baccy for the clerk. Them that ask no questions isn't told a lie. Watch the war, my darling, while the gentlemen go by.